Labour Party ground game, a so-called secret weapon they believe will help them narrow the gap by deploying vast numbers of people in a way the other parties just can't.
If they're voting Tory, you don't spend ages on the doorstep.
Here in London and elsewhere, the Labour Momentum movement is using data to get boots on the ground exactly where they're needed most.
There is a massive number of people here, so just try and look out for each other as well.
They say an online platform that directs activists towards marginal seats has received almost 1.5 million hits so far. While Labour may not yet have seen a 2017-style poll surge, volunteer numbers are said to be up.
Huge, bigger, much bigger, loads more people. I mean, as you can see, we actually have people, there's more people turning up than there are the boards, and the boards are streets with the addresses and the data on for people to turn up to. There isn't enough boards for the number of people turning up to these events sometimes. In 2017 at this stage, places like this had very few people on the ground because it was seen as completely impossible to win these sorts of seats.
Most serious studies show that ground game adds about 1% to 2.5%. Now that sounds like a trivial amount, but if you think about the election we're having at the moment, if the Tories did 2.5% better than implied by the polls, landslide. If they did 2.5% worse than implied by the polls, hung Parliament, very probably a Labour minority government. So it is a huge difference at the margin.
I think the bar chart is really important to say, you know, it's Labour, the only ones who can win here, etc.
Tactical voting is nothing new, but in an increasingly polarised campaign, the humble bar chart has become king. 200 miles away in Southport, Merseyside, the local Labour Party have their own ground game, graphs included.
This is a proper bar chart. It's not one of those Lib Dem dodgy bar charts.
Southport is a Tory-held seat, where both Labour and the Lib Dems say they're best placed to take it.
I'll just go and get my coat.
But striking up a conversation on the doorstep is extra tricky at this time of year.
I don't want the Tories to get in. And we've just been debating whether as Remainers we should vote Liberal Democrat or Labour. I don't really know whose figures to believe. If you're not a statistician, it's really hard, you know, because stats can mean anything, can't they, you know?
So this is basically the result from the last few elections, and it's kind of like if you go onto Wikipedia and just did like Southport constituency, it would show the same thing. So back in 2010, you know, the Lib Dems were...
Yeah, I'm just here from the Labour Party. We're just
fantastic!
Are we voting for Labour?
Why?
Are the Labour Party the first people to knock on your door?
That I know of.
Will that
I always like face-to-face. Email, phone calls don't work. Eye-to-eye, face-to-face. And it's not because I want to be obstructive or nasty, it's just I want to tell them how I feel and how lots of people who I work with and know feel.
A positive encounter, but in the 2019 election, it isn't always easy on the Labour doorstep.
I'm not happy with Jeremy Corbyn and all the anti-Semitic scandal that's going around. I think in this day and age, to have any stigma attached to you like that, it's just totally unacceptable. And if that's where they're at and it's not being poo-pooed and it's not being put to bed securely, horrendous.
I mean, Labour has completely overhauled their...
Yeah, I know they have, but you know, like they say there's no smoke without fire. Do you know, it's just hanging around like a bagged smell.
For all parties, this is not just a battle of the airwaves, but also a battle on the ground. An election of digital, but also of door knocks. If Labour are to deny the Conservatives a majority, they'll need their ground game operating at full tilt.